Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today we're here with Jimmy Frischling of Branded Strategic Hospitality. Jimmy, thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much, Al. Nice to be on the line with you.
Well, great. So what was your background before investing in early stage companies?
I've been in the financial and capital markets for just shy of 30 years now. I started my career in investment banking at a firm called Kidder Peabody, which no longer exists, and was really always on the sell side, working at firms like Stearns and Paine. And then my last job, I guess, on the institutional and large bank side was at a firm called Florida Securities, where I ran the U.S. structured credit team, very focused again on debt and fixed income and illiquid and opaque and emerging asset classes, but again, always on the fixed income side.
Oh, great. So what led you to start investing in the hospitality technology sector?
My job has always been in the financial and capital markets. I also had maybe more than a hobby, but I had some very good friends who had launched a restaurant company, and I've had every job in restaurants in front of the kitchen. And I really started to enjoy making private investments in restaurants themselves and partnering with this group. And it was really my now combining my love of hospitality and my interest and that restaurant company with my own financial and capital markets background to identify opportunities in early stage hospitality technology companies that are really trying to embolden and improve the positions of restaurants themselves.
Oh, great. So we have a lot of investors who are listening to the show. What's your advice to them about investing in this sector? What should they think about before they actually do that?
Well, I mean, anytime you're looking at investing in an early stage or a startup company, my industry agnostic comments would be, first and foremost, this is going to be about people and really get to know the founder, the CEO, his or her leadership, the people they're surrounding themselves with, because that's really going to be, I would put that, or playing the game of Family Feud, I'd rank that as the first issue. And then certainly talk about how focused is the CEO, is the leadership, is the company, are they trying to boil the ocean, or do they have a specific and tactical issue they're trying to address? How much skin in the game does the leadership have? And then really what segues into what the work Branded does is I ask any investor, how much do they know about the specific domain? And now we're starting to move from macro to micro. Are they an expert in the domain that they're looking at? My expectation is they're probably not. And in which case they should find someone who is, because you got to have some sort of independent validation and verification that what this startup is doing is in fact going to bring value to its consumers, customers, and otherwise.
Great. So the hospitality industry is changing rapidly due to technology, and hospitality technology seems to be a key driver for many companies now. How do you see the industry evolving today?
Yeah, we're really, it's at a critical turning point. And specifically, and I actually this quote was shared with me this morning, that as an industry, as far as tech competency, hospitality ranks below the mining industry. And that was quite a robust and very pointed and certainly a direct comment about the industry. I believe the hospitality industry has really been one of the slowest and one of the last to try to do things the way they've always done it. And by that, I mean try to avoid being disrupted by technology. It's been very slow moving. And I think there's some real meaningful, again, changes, evolution that now makes technology a critical piece of a restaurant or hotel or any hospitality company's strategy. And it's really a criticality now. So that's really what's changing in the industry is they could no longer do things the way they've always done it. They're going to have to evolve. And technology is one of the critical ways to do that.
And so what's the biggest change happening in the hospitality space that drives this need for technology?
Great question. And if I was limited to two things, I would give headlines of labor costs specifically. I would mention millennials. And please note, while I'm not a millennial, there's nothing negative you're going to hear about my investment thesis and my view of millennials. They now represent the single largest percentage, the largest group of consumers are now represented by millennials, and they dine differently, and they engage with restaurants and hotels and hospitality companies differently than their parents and than I did. And that's okay, because I dine differently than I believe my parents do. So I believe labor millennials. And then I would add a market that has really gone through an incredible explosion of capacity. And I would dare say that the specifics to restaurants, I believe the market is saturated. And therefore, I think technology and how restaurants can specifically leverage that tech is going to prove to be a differentiator, and not to be dramatic, but I have to say that it's going to be decides who lives and who dies among the restaurant businesses. Cost of labor has gone up, and that's okay, but it's gone up, and restaurants are big users of labor. They're big employers, and we want our team to earn a good living. But it's really it's a challenge to run your business as the labor's rules are changing, and that includes how you treat hourly workers versus non-hourly workers, or how you treat tipped employees versus non-tipped employees. And those are issues. Millennials, again, very different group. And then again, that saturation and that oversupply, those are the biggest changes that really are driving a large part of how we look at the importance of technology.
So what's your investment thesis for this sector? When you're looking to fund a startup or a technology space, what are you looking for in particular?
Sure. I have to admit, Branded Strategic Hospitality is our investment platform, and really the strategic platform working with early stage and startup hospitality tech companies. We are influenced and I think benefit a great deal by our restaurant company, Branded Restaurants, and our affiliate companies. But to answer your question specifically, we want to know, is the hospitality tech company restaurant centric or otherwise? Are they on the side of the restaurants? Because we're their customer. And are they building, or do they have a tech platform that is going to improve and embolden our position? Or is it a tech platform that might be great for the consumer? And we ultimately know we have to collectively and in partnership deliver for the consumer. But if the technology is first thinking about the consumer and not about the restaurant, we're going to have a hard time working together, because ultimately it's going to be cost ineffective for us. So it starts first and foremost with, is the tech company restaurant centric? I then like to ask, is the tech company selling medicine or selling vitamins? And you can imagine that and vitamins are big business, but it's nice to take vitamins. You might want to take vitamins, but you need to take your medicine, and you will seek out and you will go get your medicine. So we like to really try to delineate between, even if a tech company is restaurant centric and on our side, are they selling medicine or vitamins?
And so do you have a couple of startups that fit that thesis, maybe one or two portfolios that show that very well?
Sure. Two of the companies that we've invested with and have partnered with in a meaningful way. The first is called Pour My Beer. The name, it's agnostic to beer or whatnot, but it's a self-serving beverage system. And we were first a customer of the platform, and we installed the self-serving beverage system. And we surveyed the various players in the market. We met ultimately the CEO who we invested with and partnered with, Mr. Josh Goodman. And we felt Pour My Beer was the right company for us. And as a user, we quickly found that it did a dramatic job of increasing our sales, particularly of beers. It was a great labor saver, because we were able to try to adjust how many bartenders we needed and even how much wait staff we needed, because beverages consumers were going to get themselves. And it created a customer experience that differentiated our restaurant, Duke's on the Upper East Side. It differentiated us in terms of the type of customer experience that they could have at our store. So increased sales, cut labor, great customer experience. We liked it so much, we invested in the company, and now we're building a restaurant concept or a pub concept with Pour My Beer as the hero, because we think millennials love the self-serve. It's like, think of on-demand or Uber. You want your beer, you go get it yourself. And the system is compliant, and it's really a great company. I was probably more long-winded on Pour My Beer, but just briefly, the second company, which consumers will really not know about because it's a B2B business, is a company called Chowly. And Chowly is a third-party online food integration company. And that's a mouthful, and people are probably listening to that and saying, what the hell is that? Well, think of it as a universal cable box. If without Chowly, we had tablet hell. We had 8 different third-party delivery platforms and the tablets, and they all operate differently. And we had to have a lot of labor, and it's a lot of mistakes get made by taking in the feeds from these delivery companies because we make money on these delivery companies. They're great. Chally, though, was a solution to have all these tablets come into a single, and again, think of universal cable box. It helped us reduce labor. Our delivery service improved dramatically. We now think we offer a better delivery platform for our customers, thanks to Chally, and we can onboard as many delivery platforms as we want, thanks to them. Going back to the cable analogy, without a universal cable box yet, if you had to have a cable box for every channel in your living room you like to watch, you might have a lot of cable boxes, and you'd have cable box hell. Before Chally, we had tablet hell for all the tablets we had. So those are two of our portfolio companies, restaurant-centric, drive sales, reduce labor, and really improve our customer experience.
Those sound like great examples. So you've been in this space for a while. And so what are the challenges you find startups have to overcome in the hospitality technology sector? Is it regulatory? Is it technical? Is it market? Where do the challenges lie?
Sure. I mean, regulatory, I think, is always an issue. But I'd actually, in the hospitality tech space, customer or client acquisition, I think, is as hard in this space as any I've ever seen. No matter how many salespersons a tech company secures or retains, navigating these companies is very difficult. You can't, and the only thing harder than navigating a restaurant company is navigating a hotel, which is also a key customer of these technology companies. You can't just walk in off the street and get to the decision maker. You can't just send emails and get to the decision maker. And even if you ultimately get to, let's say, a senior person, there's going to be, it's whatever the restaurant company's bureaucracy and otherwise. So customer and client acquisition, I think, is one of the hardest things because there's no clear person to the outside community as to who you need to go to with the technology. So since we think sales is a critical kind of driver of the value proposition, then customer acquisition is critical because that's what's going to drive sales. After that, I would just say, really, like any business, do you know your customer? Are you aligning yourself with your customer? And that goes back to that restaurant-centric comment I made. But this is a business that I think a lot of people often misunderstand if they haven't worked in it. And therefore, they might be building and spending a lot of money, millions of dollars, on what they believe is the right mousetrap or the right technology for its customer, but they didn't really know their customer. So client acquisition and know your customer.
Well, that's great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
I find hospitality to be really one of the most unique asset classes. And my financial background, I look at this as an asset class. And I have to say, I think this is the only asset class being hospitality, and that extends to hospitality tech, where the customer often, or the technology company often feels they're an expert themselves. You're an expert in hospitality when you walk into the restaurant because you know how to go out and eat. You know how to order in a restaurant. You might even know how to cook. And yet that doesn't make you an expert in running a restaurant. Translate that to technology, and people know how to order online delivery. They know how to place a reservation. And they think this is a space they know, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but they know more than they do. In every other asset class I've looked at, the experts, the subject matter experts, are sought after and coveted and embraced. And ironically, I find that in this space, because of people's comfort as users of the technology or as people who know how to go out and eat, I find that there's a lot of money and time spent and wasted by not engaging in what I'm talking about of know that customer. And if you're not the expert, go find the one that can help you navigate these waters and help you, again, you invest your money and spend your time wisely.
Yeah, just because I like to eat in a restaurant doesn't mean I know how to run one. So that's a good point. So, well, how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
No, thank you for that. And again, I think the two best ways are our website, which is brandedstrategic.com. And we are actually producing content and insights and sending out briefs to our mailing list. And you can find my contact information as well as be part of our community and receive our almost every other week distributions of content. And LinkedIn is always a way to reach me, which is pretty good.
Well, great. We'll put those in the show notes and appreciate your coming on today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.